Hi, I'm Ryan, 32, and 12 hours before my wedding I walked in on my fiancée getting vocal coaching from her best friend's boyfriend, without any vocal cords involved. And in that moment, standing in the doorway of a private room at her parents' country club, watching Sebastian the sleazeball flail off my half-dressed bride-to-be, my brain did something very on brand for a cardiac surgeon. It shut off every emotion like I was flipping the breakers in an operating room. No yelling. No meltdown. No cinematic heartbreak. Just cold, clean clarity. Heather shrieked. Sebastian scrambled. And I stood there thinking, wow. 6 months of wedding planning, $60,000 of her parents' money, $6,400 of my money on voice lessons, and she still managed to hit rock bottom in heels. But let me rewind a few hours, back to the part where I was still blissfully stupid. The rehearsal dinner was already a circus. Her parents rented out an entire country club ballroom, complete with crystal centerpieces so tall you could lose a bridesmaid behind them. My parents looked like they were trying to disappear into their outfits, probably wondering how their son ended up marrying into a family that treated subtlety as a myth. Heather, usually glued to my side for events like this, kept slipping away. At first I chalked it up to stress, then to nerves, then to her being dramatic, which, to be fair, she came by genetically. Around 10 p.m., she vanished again. Not in the cute, I need a powder room break way. More like the, I'm hiding something and hoping no one notices way. I noticed. Angela, maid of honor, graphic designer, actual adult, looked frazzled but claimed Heather was upstairs on a call. A call. At a rehearsal dinner. In a private members-only room. Sure. Something in me, a mixture of surgical instinct and the familiar dread that comes when you sense a cardiac patient is about to flatline, said, go. So I did. Found the room. Heard noises. Not phone call noises. Not, I'm stressed and crying, noises. But aerobic noises. I knocked. The door was locked. Bad sign. I kicked it. The door exploded open like it owed me money. And there they were. Heather on the couch, dress bunched at her waist. Sebastian on top of her, pants halfway to his ankles, hair sticking in every direction like a man caught mid-crime. For 2 long, surreal seconds, no one moved. Heather gasped. Sebastian squealed like a startled raccoon. Then I acted before my brain had time to consider malpractice implications. I grabbed him by the throat, yanked him off her, and punched him so hard his nose folded like a cheap lawn chair. He hit the floor making sounds usually reserved for dying possums. Heather screamed my name like I had just ruined her night. And me? I just stood there, looking at the two of them, my fiancée and her vocal coach, and said the calmest, coldest words of my life. How long? She stuttered. Tried to deny it. Then broke. 4 months. 4 months. I felt nothing. Just that same surgical emptiness. The kind you get when your patient's heart stops, but you still have to finish the job. But emotional triage would have to wait. Because this was just the beginning. And what happened next at that country club hallway? It made the cheating look tame. If you've never witnessed a full-scale social detonation in real time, let me paint the scene for you. Doorframe splintered. Heather half-dressed on the couch, face smeared with panic and mascara. Sebastian bleeding like a malfunctioning ketchup packet. Me standing there calm as a man choosing avocados at Whole Foods. And then, as if the universe wanted front row seats, the hallway filled. First a bridesmaid. Then a groomsman. Then Heather's parents. Then Angela. And finally about 40 stunned wedding guests who all heard a noise upstairs and decided to check it out like this was a live episode of Real Housewives, Country Club Edition. Heather's mother gasped like she'd walked in on a murder scene. Her father looked at me like I'd just punched the groom. Spoiler, I did. Angela saw everything, the blood, the clothes, the couch, and her lips tightened into a line so sharp it could have cut glass. Danny, my cousin, arrived last, took one look, and whispered, "Oh damn! We've got an HBO special." Sebastian tried to get up. Bad move. He slipped in his own blood, tripped on his half-buttoned pants, and landed halfway across the carpet. Then he pointed at me with trembling hands. "He attacked me! I need a doctor!" "You were on top of my fiancée," I said. "You got off lucky with just a nose job." The entire hallway inhaled at the same time. Angela stepped forward, eyes locked on Sebastian. "Why was your shirt off? Why is her dress up? Why was the door locked?" He opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it. Closed it. Watching him try to lie was like watching a toddler try to explain a broken vase. Finally, his flimsy little dam burst. "Okay, fine. Yes. We've been together. But it's not what you think." You could hear the crowd lean closer. Heather snarled, "Don't blame me. You said you loved me." The crowd leaned closer. "You told me you were going to leave Angela." The crowd leaned closer. "Last week after we..." Heather cut herself off too late, clapping a hand over her mouth. Angela's face went blank. "Last week?" she said quietly. Sebastian folded like bad origami. "It wasn't like that. She came on to me. She kept texting me. I tried to stop. I didn't want to hurt anyone." Then the coward added the line that sealed both their fates. "I only did it 20, maybe 30 times." The hallway erupted. Gasps. Shouts. Phones recording. Someone whispering 30? Like they were counting lotto numbers. Heather's father turned purple. Her mother almost fainted into a decorative vase. And Angela? She stared at the two people she trusted most. The best friend she'd grown up with. And the man she wanted to marry. And said in a voice colder than the morgue, "We're done. Both of you. Stay away from me." Then she walked out of that hallway with a dignity that deserved a soundtrack. Heather tried to stand to chase her. And immediately tripped because Sebastian's elbow had already knocked out her front tooth. The missing tooth only added to the tragedy comedy of the moment. She was sobbing, bleeding, and lisping all at once. "Daddy! He hit me! He broke my tooth!" Her father just said, "Heather, enough." And in that moment, for the first time in the 3 years I'd known them, her parents looked ashamed. Ashamed of her. As for me? I looked at the roomful of witnesses and said clearly, calmly, and loudly, "The wedding is off. Enjoy your evening." Then I stepped over Sebastian, who whimpered like a dying ferret, walked through the stunned crowd, and left the country club behind. Like a surgeon leaving a failed operation. Steady hands. Steady heart. Zero regret. The drive home after detonating a wedding feels a lot like finishing a brutal 12-hour surgery. Your adrenaline is gone, your brain is numb, and you're just quietly impressed you didn't commit a felony. I got back to my apartment at 2 a.m., walked inside, shut the door, and immediately saw her stuff everywhere. Her makeup on the counter, her robe draped over the chair, her shoes scattered like she shed them mid-tantrum, her framed photos smiling at me like nothing was wrong. It hit me with surgical clarity. She'd been living in my space for 2 years. Rent-free. Bill-free. Accountability-free. But not anymore. Something clicked, clean, precise, absolute. I grabbed boxes from storage. Turned on the lights. Rolled up my sleeves. And started packing. Not angrily. Not emotionally. Just focused. Efficient. Clinical. The same way I prep an or. Clothes? Box 1. Shoes? Box 2. Makeup? Box 3. Her designer bags she claimed were heirlooms? Box 4. Stuffed animals she refused to throw away? Box 5. Compressed that trash properly. I filled 12 boxes in 3 hours. then carried them all into the hallway like I was taking out contaminated biohazard waste. At 5 a.m., I stood in the hallway, surrounded by her entire existence in boxes, and felt something I hadn't felt in days. Calm. Not peace. Not relief. Just the quiet that comes after an emotional hemorrhage stops. I called a 24-hour locksmith, because I wasn't giving her a chance to, accidentally, walk back into my apartment. New locks installed by sunrise. By 7 a.m., I had showered, dressed, and sat down on the couch with a coffee like this was any other morning. My phone buzzed. Heather. Calling. I declined. She called again. And again. And again. Finally I answered, once. Her. We need to talk. Me. No. We don't. Her. The wedding. Me. Doesn't exist. Her. My parents. Me. Not my problem. Her. Ryan, I was lonely. You're always working. Me. I'm a surgeon. That's what surgeons do. Her. Sebastian actually paid attention to me. Me. I bet. Between thrusts. Silence. Then she tried the classic. Her. Ryan. I love you. Me. Save it for your vocal coach. Maybe he'll write you a song about this. I hung up and blocked her number. Peace restored? Of course not. Because that calm hallway filled with neatly packed boxes and new locks? It was just the eye of the storm. Heather wasn't done. She hadn't even started. And by the time she showed up on my doorstep 24 hours later, missing a tooth, mascara streaked, demanding I return her ring, that's when I realized she wasn't just a cheater. She was a walking natural disaster. Heather showed up at my door looking like every bad decision she'd made in the past week had punched her in the face. Literally. Her upper lip was swollen. Her mouth was bruised. And her missing front tooth gave her a lisp that would have been adorable if she weren't a cheating tornado of chaos. She pounded on the door like she was trying to break it down. I opened it just to stop the noise. She stood there breathing hard, hair a mess, sunglasses on at night like she was avoiding paparazzi. Ryan. I'm here for my thing. Your what? She ripped off the sunglasses, revealing the bruises from Sebastian's elbow. My things! My belongings! My stuff! Her lisp turned the whole sentence into Looney Tunes dialogue. I stepped aside. Not into the apartment, into the hallway. They're right there. Take them. She froze, staring at the 12 neatly stacked boxes like she'd never seen cardboard before. Her voice rose an octave. You packed all my things? Without asking me? That's so controlling. Controlling. This from the woman who locked herself in a private room to hook up with her voice teacher the night before our wedding. I leaned against the doorframe. You cheated for 4 months. I packed for 3 hours. Balance. She sputtered. I need to come inside to make sure you got everything. No, you don't. She tried to push past me. I blocked the doorway with one hand. Her voice cracked. Ryan, please. I need to check. Nope. Your stuff's out here. You're out here. That's how this works. The rage hit her all at once. You can't do this. I lived here. This is my home too. Correction, it was my home. You lived in it. She made a strangled noise somewhere between a sob and a hiss. Then she snapped her fingers like she'd found her trump card. Fine. Give me the ring. Ah. The ring. A $5,000 diamond I bought with my savings. No. I said. She blinked like she'd misheard. What do you mean no? You gave it to me. It's mine. Engagement rings are conditional gifts. I said calmly. No wedding, no ring. She actually stomped her foot. That's not fair. You're doing this because I messed up one time. 30 times? I corrected. Sebastian counted. She turned beet red. Give me my ring. And then, in the single dumbest move of her life, She yanked the ring off her finger and hurled it into my apartment. Except she missed. She missed completely. The ring sailed past me, through the living room, out the open window, and vanished into the darkness outside. We both froze. She whispered, "Oop." I smiled. "Go get it." Her face melted. You're serious? It's dark out there. I could lose it." "You already did," I said. "Go find it." And I closed the window. From upstairs, I watched her on the lawn, crawling around on her hands and knees, phone flashlight scanning the dirt, bushes, rocks. For 30 minutes, she hunted for the ring she threw out of spite. When she finally found it, she stormed back up, panting, covered in leaves and dirt. She shoved it into my hand. "Here's your stupid ring." "Great," I said. "Take your boxes and leave." That tantrum was just the appetizer. The main course? She showed up at Murphy's pub 3 weeks later, uninvited, and walked straight onto the open mic stage to sing a love ballad to me, and the entire bar booed her off the stage. 3 weeks of blissful silence passed. No calls. No texts. No late-night knocking. Just peace, work, sleep, and the profound joy of not waking up next to a woman who weaponized karaoke. I honestly thought that was the end of it. Then Tuesday rolled around. Tuesday equals Murphy's pub night. Danny, Kai, and a couple of our buddies always met there for wings and beer, the sacred male ritual where we talk about work, argue about sports, and pretend our lives aren't secretly falling apart. I got there around 7. Danny and Kai were already seated at our table in the back, drinks in hand. We're laughing, catching up, decompressing, when Danny's face suddenly freezes like someone just handed him a subpoena. He whispers without moving his lips, "Ryan, do not turn around." I turned around. Heather in a corner booth. Alone. Staring. Locked onto me like a malfunctioning Roomba. She lifted her glass at me. Like this was a romantic reunion and not a stalker sighting. Danny muttered, "Ah hell, she's been here since before we arrived." Kai whispered, "She's been watching the door the entire time." Heather stood, smoothed her hair, fixed her blouse, and marched toward our table like she was about to deliver a TED Talk on desperation. "Ryan," she breathed, voice shaking dramatically. "Can we talk?" "No. I'm begging you, just 5 minutes." "No. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. The biggest mistake of my life." "You cheated 30 times, Heather." "That's not a mistake. That's a punch card." She burst into tears, mascara running down her face like she was melting. People started turning. Watching. "I love you." She sobbed loudly enough that 3 tables flinched. Sebastian meant nothing to me. The entire pub collectively inhaled. Kai whispered, "Bro, this is a live performance." Danny whispered, "More like a breakdown with backup music." I tried to stay calm. "Heather, we're done. Go home." She grabbed my arm. "I can't move on. You're the only man I've ever truly loved." I pulled my arm back. Firm. Controlled. "Sit down, Heather. Not with me, at your table. Please." She stumbled backward, wiping her face. Then she looked around the room like she was scanning for an escape hatch. But what she found was the stage. Murphy's has open mic nights. Karaoke. Acoustic guitar teens. The occasional drunk uncle. The mic was already set up. Some guy had just finished singing Ring of Fire. The timing couldn't have been worse. Heather's eyes locked onto that microphone like it was her destiny. Danny whispered, "Oh no." Kai whispered, "Oh yes." Heather marched straight to the stage. A staff guy tried to stop her. She waved him off. "This is for Ryan," she announced to the entire pub. The room went dead silent. She punched in a karaoke track. Some dramatic ballad. Something slow, emotional, unnecessarily long. The music swelled. Then she opened her mouth and committed vocal terrorism. It was incredible. Like listening to a blender harmonize with a vacuum cleaner. She tried to hit a high note and sounded like someone stepping on a seagull. The entire pub froze. Then someone snorted. Then someone else laughed. Then an entire table cackled. Heather clutched the mic with both hands, tears streaming, trying desperately to belt the chorus. People were recording. Staff was grimacing. A toddler covered his ears. Then someone booed. Then another. Then an entire booth chanted, "Get off the stage!" Heather's voice cracked on a long note that should never have been attempted by a human with functioning eardrums. A big staff guy came out, arms crossed. "That's enough," he said. "But I'm not finished." "Oh, yes, you are. Microphone. Now." He plucked it from her hands like she was a misbehaving toddler. "And your band," he added. "What? You can't ban me." "Oh, I absolutely can. Out." As she stumbled off the stage, someone yelled, "Worst karaoke ever." The bar erupted in laughter. Heather's face crumpled. She looked at me, mascara streaked, humiliated, shaking, and whispered, "Why are you doing this to me?" I didn't answer. She ran out the door sobbing so loud it echoed. The second the door closed, the bar clapped. Not for her. For the staff kicking her out. The bartender brought a free round to our table. "For emotional trauma," he said. And that's when I realized I wasn't done with this saga. Because Heather wasn't done with me. Heather's dramatic karaoke meltdown should have been the grand finale, right? Nope. Because when a person is made of equal parts denial, entitlement, and emotional nitroglycerin, humiliation doesn't make them retreat. It makes them get creative. The next morning, I woke up to 27 missed calls, 14 unanswered texts, and one truly stunning Instagram post of Heather crying into a throw pillow with the caption, "Sometimes the people who promise to love you are the ones who destroy you the most." With a Bible verse underneath. A Bible verse. This from a woman who cheated like it was a loyalty punch card. I didn't respond. Didn't view her story. Didn't check her comments. I just went to work and stitched up a man's coronary artery while thinking. If only heartbreak could be fixed with sutures. 3 days of silence passed. Then, Saturday morning, 7 a.m., there was a knock on my door. Not a polite knock. Not even a firm knock. This was the knock of someone beating on the door like they were trying to escape a burning building. I checked the peephole. Heather. Hair frizzy. Face streaked. Still missing the tooth. Wearing sweatpants and what looked like Sebastian's old hoodie. I didn't open the door. She pounded harder. "Ryan! I know you're in there." I opened just enough to block the doorway with my body. "What do you want, Heather? You ruined me!" she screamed, voice cracking. "You you know what I mean!" The lisp made her sound like an enraged cartoon character. I stayed calm. "I didn't ruin anything. You cheated, Heather. On me. On Angela. On your own wedding." Her lip trembled. "You think I wanted any of that to happen?" "Yes," I said. "Because you did it for 4 months. That's not who I am. It's exactly who you are." She looked like she might throw a punch, but then all the rage melted into a sob. "I don't have anyone left," she whispered. "Angela blocked me. Sebastian ghosted me. My parents are embarrassed. Everyone is talking about me. You didn't just break up with me, you destroyed my whole life." I didn't flinch. "I didn't destroy your life. I simply turned on the lights, and everyone saw what you were doing in the dark." She stared at me stunned. Then she collapsed against the doorframe, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. "Ryan, please. Please. I love you. We can fix this. I can change. I'll go to therapy. I'll work on myself. I'll quit singing." "That last one's the first sane thing you've said," I muttered. She didn't appreciate the humor. "Please. she begged. Please don't leave me. I can't be alone. I sighed. You were alone the moment you cheated the first time. You just didn't notice. Her face twisted. Then she said the one sentence that confirmed every decision I'd made. You're really not coming back, just because of one mistake? I blinked slowly. 30 mistakes. She stomped her foot, furious again. You are heartless. You don't care about anyone but yourself. You're a cold, empty, emotionless. I'm a cardiac surgeon, I said. Empty is part of the job. And I closed the door. She screamed. Kicked the door. Cried. Threatened to expose me. Then finally, after 10 minutes of meltdown, I heard her footsteps storm down the hall. Her car started. She peeled out. And for the first time, I thought, maybe it's over. Maybe she finally hit the bottom. Maybe she'll actually disappear. I was wrong. Because the next escalation? The next stunt she pulled? That was the moment everything changed. And it wasn't just pathetic. It was dangerous. Heather's meltdown at my door should have been the end. The ugly crying, the screaming, the "You're heartless" monologue, the dramatic exit, it all had the energy of a season finale. But Heather didn't operate on normal human logic. She operated on the emotional equivalent of expired fireworks. 3 days after the door meltdown, I got a text from an unknown number. You'll regret ignoring me. I blocked it. That afternoon, my hospital pager buzzed. Admin wanted to see me. Now, if you're a surgeon and admin asks to chat, it's never good. Either you messed up, or someone is trying to make it look like you did. I walked into the conference room and found HR, hospital legal, and Dr. Feynman, the attending who trained me, all wearing the same expression, like someone told them the ore was on fire. HR slid a stack of printed screenshots across the table. Heather had sent the hospital a 12-paragraph email accusing me of being emotionally abusive, controlling, dangerously unstable, a man with violent tendencies, and a threat to patients. She even included a photo of her swollen face from when Sebastian's elbow rearranged her dental architecture, and implied I had done it. Dr. Feynman rubbed his temples like he needed a cardiac transplant himself. Ryan, he said quietly, is there anything we should be concerned about here? I took a breath. Kept my voice steady. No. She's my ex-fiancée. She cheated. I ended the relationship. She's retaliating. HR leaned forward. Is there any truth to her claims of aggression? I shook my head. I've never touched her. Or anyone. The only nose I've broken was Sebastian's, and he earned it. To my relief, they almost smiled. Hospital legal asked for evidence. Oh boy, did I have evidence. I showed them. Her meltdown texts. Her attempt to force herself into my apartment. The videos from Murphy's pub. Statements from Danny and Kai. And a timestamped message where she admitted she was lonely and made a mistake. Hospital legal read through the stack, nodded, and said the words I needed. We're closing this. She has no grounds. But if she contacts you again, call the police. When I walked out of admin, I expected anger. Fear. Something. But instead, I felt tired. Like I'd been holding tension in my chest since the rehearsal dinner, and someone finally deflated the balloon. But Heather wasn't finished. She wasn't even close. That night, I went to get groceries. Simple errand. Milk. Coffee. Protein bars. 0 emotional landmines. Wrong. I turned into the parking lot and froze. Heather's car was there. Not parked like a normal person. Parked sideways across 2 spaces. Right in front of the entrance. Like a red flag with headlights. I almost drove away. Almost. But surgeons don't run. Even from chaos. I walked toward the entrance, and she stepped out from behind a concrete pillar like a discount Batman villain. Hair wild. Eyes red. clutching a tote bag like it held state secrets. "Ryan," she said breathlessly, "I need to talk to you." "No," I said. "And if you come near me again, I'm filing a restraining order." She laughed. Actually laughed. "You wouldn't." I took my phone out and tapped the screen so she could see the emergency dial come up. Her smile flickered. Then she pulled a piece of paper from her tote bag and shoved it at me. A printed spreadsheet. Color-coded. With dates. Times. Locations. "I've been tracking when you're home," she said. "Your schedule. When you leave for work. When you come back. So I could talk to you at the right time." Everything in my body went cold. Tracking me. Schedule monitoring. Stalking behavior. I stepped back. "Heather. Leave." "No!" she screamed suddenly, voice cracking in the parking lot. "You owe me a conversation. I don't owe you a damn thing." She grabbed my arm. Not tightly, just desperately. But it didn't matter. That was the line. I jerked my arm away and stepped back. "This is your last warning. Stay away from me." She broke again, right in front of a shopping cart return, sobbing so violently people started staring. "You ruined my life," she choked. "You embarrassed me. You made everyone hate me. You don't get to walk away without talking to me." A store worker approached hesitantly. "Sir, is everything okay here?" Heather turned toward him, shrieking. "He abused me." The poor guy recoiled like she'd thrown venom. She kept screaming, wild and incoherent, attracting more stares. That's when I did it. I called the police. In front of her. While she watched. 911, what's your emergency?" "Yes," I said loudly enough for her to hear every syllable. "I need officers at the Publix on Westmore Avenue. My ex-fiancée is stalking me, harassing me, and causing a disturbance." Heather's face crumpled. Pure shock. Pure panic. She whispered, "You wouldn't." I held up my phone. I just did. 2 squad cars arrived within minutes. Heather tried to cry her way out of it. Tried to claim we were working things out. Tried to claim she was just emotional. But the spreadsheet ruined her. The officers took one look at her color-coded stalker tracker and said, "Ma'am, that's not love. That's obsession." They issued her a formal warning. Entered the incident into the police database. "Contact him again," one officer told her, "and you'll be arrested." Heather stared at me like she just realized the game was over. For the first time, she looked scared of me, not because I was dangerous, but because I was finally done. She left. Shaken. Silent. Small. And for the first time in months, I felt something close to real freedom. But the story wasn't over. Not until I learned what she did next. Not until the final fallout landed in her lap. Not until the moment she finally faced consequences that even she couldn't scream her way out of. This is where everything comes full circle. The police warning should have been the period at the end of the sentence. But Heather was a run-on paragraph of bad decisions, and life wasn't done editing her yet. After the incident at Publix, I expected one last explosion, a scream, a threat, a dramatic Instagram post about escaping narcissistic abuse. But instead, silence. 3 days. 5 days. A full week. Nothing. No calls. No texts. No surprise appearances. No open letters, written in Instagram cursive. For the first time since the rehearsal dinner, I slept without tension in my shoulders. The world felt normal again. Almost too normal. Then, one quiet Tuesday morning, I got a call from Danny. He wasn't laughing this time. "Ryan," he said, "you need to sit down for this." I leaned against the counter. "What happened?" "Heather got arrested." I closed my eyes. "What did she do?" Well, everything finally caught up with her." And then he told me. Turns out her parents, after finding out she'd been tracking me, stalking me, melting down in public places, and getting banned from Murphy's, decided she needed help. Real help. As in therapy. Which Heather refused. She claimed she didn't need mental help, she needed love. Her parents insisted anyway. A fight broke out. Heather stormed out of their house, screaming that she was running away to Sebastian so at least one man appreciates her. Bad timing. Because Angela had already filed a restraining order against Sebastian for harassment. Apparently he'd been leaving her voicemails begging to take him back, and she'd had enough. So when Heather showed up at Sebastian's apartment, uninvited, and started pounding on his door shouting that he ruined everything, he called the cops. The same officers who warned her at Publix. The moment they arrived and saw her, it was over. She violated a previous warning. She trespassed. She caused a disturbance. And she'd been driving erratically to get there. She was arrested on misdemeanor harassment, disorderly conduct, and a DUI discovered at the station. She spent the night in county jail. When Danny said that last part, I felt a strange mix of not joy, not pity, not revenge. Just closure. Concrete, undeniable closure. For months she'd been spiraling, throwing herself into chaos and dragging everyone with her. Manipulating, lying, demanding attention, begging for reconciliation one moment, and attacking the next. And now someone else, someone in uniform, finally said, "Enough." A week later, I ran into Angela at a cafe near the hospital. She looked better. Calm. Solid. We talked for a minute, mostly small talk, before she finally said, "I'm sorry for everything she put you through." "You didn't do anything," I said. "I know. But she used me as a shield. As a cover. For months. And she used you as a backup plan. That's not fair to anyone." We stood there in the quiet hum of the cafe. Then she added something that surprised me. "I'm glad you got out. If you'd married her, she would have destroyed you." I nodded because it was true. Not in a dramatic, cinematic way. Just in the slow, grinding way that people like Heather burn through everything they touch. But then Angela said something that stuck with me. "You handled it better than most people would have. You stayed calm. You didn't scream back. You didn't escalate. You just walked away. That's rare." I thanked her. And I meant it. Because for months, I'd been operating in surgeon mode, steady hands, steady voice, steady choices, while my life imploded around me. I wasn't calm because I was strong. I was calm because that was the only way to survive it. Months passed. The charges stuck. Heather had to enter a mandated counseling program. Her driver's license was suspended. Her parents cut off financial support. Until she demonstrated stability. Sebastian? Moved out of state. No one misses him. Angela? Thriving. New apartment. New job. New man, who, according to Danny, is the polar opposite of Sebastian in every possible way. Me? I healed. Not overnight. Not dramatically. Just slowly. The way small fractures knit themselves under a cast. I threw myself into work. Picked up new hobbies. Went on actual dates with actual adults. And one night, about 6 months after the whole disaster, I sat in my apartment, finally quiet, finally clean of all her things, and realized. This was the first time I'd felt like myself in years. Not the version of me she wanted. The always available, always guilty, always wrong version. But the real me. The surgeon. The friend. The guy who made hard decisions when he had to. The guy who walked away when staying would have killed something inside him. And for the first time, I didn't think about Heather with anger. I thought about her with distance. She wasn't a villain. She wasn't a monster. She was a person who blew up her own life. And dragged mine into the blast radius. Until I stepped out of the way. Her downfall wasn't my revenge. It was simply the natural end of a path she kept choosing. And my survival wasn't some grand triumph. It was just me refusing to let someone else write the final chapter of my life. Now, I'm writing my own. And it doesn't include her. Not even as a footnote.